The album started in 1961. It was my father who had written lyrics for songs right the way through the 20s and 30s, and most of these lyrics were lost during the war during the Blitz, and we were bombed out. But he started again in 61, and one evening I was visiting him and he said to me, "What do you think of this lyric?" And I said, "Oh, that sounds interesting." And I took it away and composed some music for it, and that was really the start. And I can remember, in fact, when I'll Be Kicking Around, he wrote the lyric of that, and he said to me, "Look, I think this has got potential, what do you think?" And I said, "Yes, it has," and so we worked on that. Today it is the culmination of this effort. I decided to do another video, even though I'm 85 plus. The reason being that having recorded the music, one thing we needed to do was to think about the promotion of the album, and one of the best ways to do this is via social media.
When you find yourself in deep water, feeling as though you could drown, give a shout, I'll come running, 'cause I'll be kicking around.
The album from which Kicking Around appears is called It's All About Love. In fact, it's 10 new songs that we wrote. The songs on the album were partly written in the 1960s, in fact 8 of them were, and the other 2 were written in the noughties during around about 2006. The reason for the big gap was that my father, in fact, was the lyricist on the early period, because he died in 1968, whereas the second lot, the lyrics were written by my son. Yes, I do love recording songs as well as performing them, and you get a different kick out of both of them, because they both require different approaches, even though the music is basically the same. The actual recording it may be doing, and the song may be the same, but there's a different interpretation. You can't really express your feelings in the recording as much as you can, because you can gesticulate and show the animation that you need in order to project the actual meaning of the song.
Why does love make the sky look so blue? Why does love make me feel so debonair?
I was brought up, and during the war and after the war, one went along to lots and lots of musical shows. So the musical film industry created lots and lots of music, and of course that was a good first inspiration. And then my eldest brother, who was a pianist, the jazz pianist, he at one stage worked in the merchant service, and he almost did some commuting between London and North America, and he brought back lots of recordings from North America, which sort of enabled us to learn more about what was happening. And then plus, in addition to this, people like Perry Como, Frank Sinatra, and Mel Torme, for example, one had lots and lots of recordings of these, and this introduced one to yet another segment of the music industry. I came to music via my interest in the saxophone. I was, I suppose, inspired by people like Stan Getz and Charlie Parker and others, and I learned the saxophone and the theory of music, and from this then it enabled me to actually write scores. since I had a saxophone, and at one stage I was working in Thailand, and my father used to send me lyrics from England to Thailand, and I would then put the music down, and the best way, since I didn't have a piano or a synthesizer available at the time, I wrote down the scores using my saxophone, and then scoring them on ordinary paper. As far as the music scores are concerned, I suppose I should explain how I set about creating the music for this. In fact, I learned a music package so that I could then incorporate onto the computer the ideas I've got. So via a synthesizer and a computer, I could then work out the sounds I wanted to create, and we then put these onto the form so that they were there actually in musical form.
I'm so happy to have found a love like you.
There you go, darling.
The approach that we used for creating the music was using a computerized music technique, first of all. So we put down our ideas. The producer and myself sat down. We then, I scoped out and said, yes, this is what I wanted to be accomplished in the musical form. And then we worked through sort of section by section, and he then incorporated this into a CD as such. And then from this, we then created the actual music scores and brought in musicians who then, in fact, recorded the final version. Fans of swim music will look at it and see that the element of jazz, which we've tried to incorporate, and this is one of the loves that I have in music, is the jazz. So in, for example, the start and the introduction to Kicking Around, you can see that I've used a lot of offbeat and other concepts which I've learned from my system, and so therefore it's a challenge to people to listen to a different approach of how the big band will sound. Well, anyone that has a dream and with regard to creation at all, I think that one must pursue it to as far as one possibly can, in spite of all the difficulties and setbacks you get. If you really are inspired by that concept, you must continue to develop that artistic form, because it will then give you inner satisfaction that you probably couldn't get elsewhere. I mean, the important thing is to get the music out to the public, and this, I think, is the greatest problem that one's got, is to get in contact with your public. It probably, you know, if one does get the right formula, then you may find that you get an exponential growth of the thing, and you suddenly find that there are lots and lots of fans out there, but unless they can hear your music and probably see you as such, you know, and this is one of the good reasons why we decided to go ahead with this particular video, so that they can see, in fact, what we are capable of providing.
I'll be kicking around.